Hello, everybody. So welcome to our webinar on Governance.Business Professional Services Solution, where we are going to introduce you our solution for professional services on top of our platform, Governance.Business. So today for the agenda, we will do a small presentation on InnovaPrime, who we are, what we have done so far, our experience, our background. Then we will follow up by giving you a presentation on the solution itself, on Governance.Business Professional Services Solution, where I'm going to explain you through some slides the several components of the solution and also the goals for it. Then we will do a live demonstration where we will show you the solution live and working for the different roles and different processes that we have set up for the professional services part. Okay, and then in the end we will have a small Q&A for you to ask any question that you might have. So starting on InnovaPrime. InnovaPrime is a company that was set up, it was created in 2005, so we have dedicated ourselves in delivering governance and IT strategy solutions across Europe for several customers in several markets. We are currently more or less 40 employees distributed by 8 countries. Okay, so we have set up several offices throughout Europe in order to explore the several possibilities in the local markets. Okay, so you might have some local persons within your market that you can contact and follow up afterwards if you'd like to. Okay, so we have done more than 15 implementations in 15 different countries in several companies, big companies, small companies, medium companies. So essentially we have experience in all sides, okay, in all shapes and markets in this area, in this domain, in the portfolio management, IT strategy domain, okay, where we are focusing all of our services. So in terms of our market presence, we are mostly present in Europe. We have developed mostly our projects within Europe. Nevertheless, we have some small implementations, small experiences in other markets aside from the European continent. Okay. Our focus areas are essentially portfolio management, business intelligence, business service management, and operations and automation. So essentially everything that focuses on the end-to-end perspective of how do I set up, or how do I start with defining my strategy, and how do I deliver and execute that strategy inside the organization. So it's all about that. Okay, so that's why our focus areas are essentially on that aspect. So trying to cover from how do I define my strategy, and then how do I execute that strategy inside the organization. Some references that we have where we have delivered such solutions. You can see references from all sizes and shapes. So we have big companies like Shell, like Nokia, like Barclays, Telefonica, and others. And we have also some other small companies where we have implemented this kind of solutions. Okay, and based, of course, in all of this all of these implementations in the different companies and markets. That's why we've came up with having our own product, in developing our own product in this area. Okay, because we've basically picked up all of that knowledge along the way, and we thought that we could do better. We could do it in a different way. We could unify the end-to-end perspective in one single solution, okay, and that's why we've came up with Governance.Business. So our own platform, our own solution for different purposes. So the goal for today is to present you the flavor professional services automation on top of that product of Governance.Business. So Governance.Business is a product that we have developed. On top of that product, we have then several solutions, okay, that we use in order to go to market, in order to have best practices working on that platform, something that you can use from day one. Today, like I said, we are going to focus on the professional services one. So when we look at professional services organizations, we see several pains, we see several problems associated with different roles, different departments. So starting from management, when we look at management, so when management on a professional services organization wants essentially to define the strategy, define a business plan, and see how we are managing that business plan, how we are come from that to execution, how we are executing, and monitor all of that so they can see that their strategy is being implemented inside the organization and how that is being implemented. So nowadays, truthfully, there is a lot of lack of visibility, lack of control. So the strategy is defined, but then it's never glued correctly with the execution of that strategy from a sales perspective to a delivery perspective, and then going back into that strategy monitoring. Okay, so essentially there's a lack of control there, and due to that lack of control, of course, there is then lack of control as well on how we are using our resources, how we are managing our cash flow. So we have several aspects that due to one problem, some others will arise. As well, we have that kind of problem in sales. So sales drive themselves, but then they don't look towards the other sides of the organization. So from a delivery perspective, how we are delivering inside those accounts, the status of the projects, the status of the services that we have in there. Okay, so they don't have all of that visibility, so they have to go around the organization and ask for it, ask for that information. So they're due to not having that information on the fly or not having full visibility into it. Okay, there are some sales, there are some opportunities that we pass along. There are some things that we have problems with the customer because we lack that visibility while we are doing some conversations with them. Okay, and as well, we also need to understand from a strategy standpoint if we are driving the sales according to the strategy that was defined, or if we are essentially going and doing our own sales, our own thing, okay, independent if that is bringing benefits or not towards the organization, or if we have the right resources in the organization to engage like that. Okay, so there is also a lot of lack of visibility and control in that aspect. So when then things arrive on the delivery part, okay, on the delivery, it's all about that part of the organization normally just executes anything that sales is giving them. Okay, so they try to do the best with the things that they have. Okay, sometimes when projects come up into their hands, they are already starting late, so there are already some promises made to the customer that normally can't be done. Okay, can't be achieved, but they will try to do their best. But essentially, all of that visibility towards the sales pipeline, towards the strategy, the linking, also understanding if we have the right resources right now to do it, or if we need to hire them beforehand. So all of that is something that affects the way that we deliver, the quality of that delivery. Okay, and it's something that needs to be overcome. Okay, then in terms of finance, it's all about controlling not only the cost of the organization, but controlling from a strategy standpoint, controlling all the invoices that are being sent to the customer and why, and which project they correspond to, which contract they correspond to, which kind of work is being done. Also having full control in terms of the cash flow itself. So essentially understanding that this invoice is pending, but why it is pending. Okay, is it something that was agreed with the customer or not? That is affecting perhaps the cash flow in the end. So all of that visibility also has to be in place in order to make sure that finance is effective inside the organization. So in the end, for all of these types of impacts and problems that we have in an organization, okay, we came up with a solution that is an end-to-end support for the professional services organizations. So essentially we have a solution that is able to give you the ability to plan your strategy, and then the ability to link that strategy with sales, with delivery, with finance control, with invoicing the customer, and going back into the business plan and trying to understand how that execution is being done, the status of it, what can we expect going down the road, and so on. So to be more predictable, to have more control, to have all the information in one place, and make sure that you have full visibility into it to take the right decisions. Okay. In the end, the the Governance.Business PSA solution. Okay, what we've always tried to do in any solution that we provide through this platform is to be really easy to use, okay, clear to understand, and also adaptable to your needs. So essentially, this is the out of the box, the best practices that we have in terms of professional services. It doesn't mean that you cannot change some of the processes in order to adapt them to your organization. So there is the ability to do that in terms of processes, new information, other processes that you might want to put in, and so on and so forth. Okay, so if we look at the different processes, business processes that we are supporting within this solution, we see basically the processes from planning your organization from a business plan perspective, account plan perspective, okay, financially, cost, resources, okay, also to doing innovation management, so managing all of our internal ideas and understanding which new things we want to launch in the market and how we are going to do that, what kind of costs we will have, okay, what kind of benefits we are expecting, and so on. Coming to a sales perspective, where we are involved in doing sales according to the strategy that is defined, and also having full visibility towards your business plan. Then also doing all the resource planning and scheduling, starting the delivery of projects, then collecting all the time, okay, that is being spent on projects, all the expenses and purchases for those projects or services, okay, and then invoicing the customer in the end based on the services or projects that we are doing towards that customer, and in the end linking this back to the business plan. So from a business plan perspective, we will always have full visibility in everything that is being done across the board inside the organization, okay, instead of having to go to one department or another organization, another team to understand where we are and to understand information. So no, everything is in one unique place, and you have full visibility towards the different parts and components of the organization and what is being done. Okay, so coming into functions and features and some of the things that I'm going to show you today within the demonstration. Okay, so first of all, in terms of business and account plan, so you are able to define business plans for your organizations. So you can have an organization model and have different organization units or departments. You can establish different business plans for each of them and understand, for example, what kind of benefits you expect, what kind of costs you are also expecting, what kind of actual costs you are incurring in that organization, okay, due to resources, due to other expenses, other costs, and so on, okay. Also understanding the actual benefits that you have, so the services that you sell, the savings that you have, and so on. So how that gets all feedback into the plan, so you'll understand also margin per organization or the total organization, for example. Okay, linked to that business plan, you can also then understand also the pipeline that you have, so all the opportunities that are linked to that business plan, all the projects that are being executed, all the contracts that are being executed as well to maintain services or products or other aspects for a customer. Okay, so you have full visibility from that business plan into everything. So you don't need to go into different places and different perspectives. Okay, it's all there, and it's all basically in something that you just do a click and you'll see the information. Okay, similar to what you have in terms of business plans. Okay, one thing is planning the organization itself, but when we go down in the chain, okay, we can also do the planning in terms of account level. So per client or per customer, okay, we can also define, let's say, a business plan, okay, a small business plan, an account plan, okay, where we are planning the financial benefits, financial costs, resources that are needed in order to deliver the services that we are expecting in terms of that client, and then monitor that execution per customer, per client. Okay, so we can understand, for example, for a certain client, what kind of pipeline we have, what kind of projects and services we are delivering, and what kind of margins we are generating. Okay. In terms of innovation management, it's all about developing and controlling your innovation ideas, so processes in order to understand or to do some ideation. okay, where you are going to define different ideas, you are going to study them, you're going to bring them into possible opportunities to develop internal projects, okay, and eventually you are going to start an internal initiative that can be a big program, can be just a small project or a medium project, okay, so depending on how you want to deliver that type of idea internally. After that project, you can create, for example, an asset that you will sell afterwards in the market, okay, and you want to collect, or you want to connect any sale, any opportunity, anything with that asset in order to represent or do the continuation of benefit recognition and so on across that asset. Okay. Then, in terms of sales management, it's all about managing leads, opportunities, and accounts. Okay. So it's all about mapping or having all of the information around everything that we are doing in terms of sales, understanding everything that is related to timelines, to costs, to benefits, to resources, so we can, of course, get all of that information and plan accordingly, okay, our organization. So plan in terms of resources that are needed, plan in terms of projects that might come in the next quarter or month or timeline, okay, and also understand, of course, the margins that are involved in a certain opportunity, because sometimes we think that we have a wonderful opportunity, but in the end, the margin is quite low, okay, and possibly there is a lot of risk involved, and we are fighting for something that perhaps we should do it in a different way, okay. So all the sales management part, it's all about having all of that visibility and having then the top level in terms of the account visibility, okay, and still having managing all the pipeline in terms of probability and so on and so forth. Then we have the parts of resource planning and scheduling, so understanding the capacity that you have, understanding how you are using that capacity, also understanding the forecast and demand that you will have future-wise for your resources, so you can understand if you have the right roles in the organization, if you have the right persons in order to deal with all the pipeline that you are generating either internally or through opportunities with customers. Okay, so you'll have to do all of that resource management in order to understand, okay, all your capacity, and if you need to hire some more or go and hire externally and so on for projects and such. Okay, then the project management part. So where we are managing all our programs and projects with all the work plans, activities, all the resources that are involved, costs, benefits, issues, risks, scope changes. So anything that is involved in managing a project from an end-to-end perspective. So you'll have all of that visibility inside the tool, all of that control, all of those processes inside that solution, okay, in order for you to manage effectively a project and to have clear visibility on where you are, okay, and to predict, let's say, the where you will end up in executing that project. Then in terms of the service management part, it's all about managing services through maintenance contracts and so on with your customers, or even internal services that you have where you are establishing also some metrics that you want to comply with, some KPIs, okay. So we have their processes to cover the normal scope of a service management perspective. So from incident management, request, change, problem, and service level management. So all of those processes are in there in order to be able to offer even a portal to the customer so they can log in and insert or create their incidents or their requests inside the solution, and for you to have one unique place where you are managing that service, okay, and giving full visibility towards the internal community inside the organization, and also, if you want to provide that visibility back to the customer based on all of the information that you have, okay. So of course all of this information, all of this service, and how the quality of that delivery, and also the time that you spend and so on, will also be one of the perspectives that you will get into inside the account part, inside the business plan part, so you will understand which kind of contracts you are managing, okay, and how you are delivering those, and what kind of benefits are being generated, what kind of costs, and so on and so forth, okay. Then the three other parts that we have is essentially timesheets, the ability to collect time that each of the resources have spent in each of the tasks. Okay, so these timesheets can be, for example, weekly timesheets, can be bi-weekly timesheets, can be monthly timesheets, whatever timeline you decide in order to have that time registration in there. Okay, then after that, this will followed up by an approval process. Okay, and based on those approvals, then all of those hours that we have for the timesheet will be then transformed into cost and hold up into the correct places. So either projects, services, or any other work things that you are doing inside the organization. So you can understand from a cost perspective, from an hourly perspective, how that translates into cost. Then expenses and purchases, to do expense management inside anything inside the system, so across accounts, across opportunities, across projects, programs, whatever entities you have, okay, as long as you enable them to be allowed, or that you allow expenses on them, okay, then you will be able to generate expenses and to manage expenses at that level, and then of course to translate that into actual costs, okay, related to that entity. Okay, then the last part, it's all about invoices. So to collect time, to collect other costs that you want to invoice to customers, okay, to create that invoice. Then later on, finance will generate the actual invoice, okay, in an external system or any system of your that you use in your organization, okay, and then it will fulfill that invoice, and then that invoice will be also part of the benefit recognition, okay, component, where you are going to then recognize the actual values that you have predicted for your projects, for your services, and for other entities inside the solution. So you can understand that we have already invoiced the customer this much, okay, we have already received that much. So this is the current actual figure that we have already in the project or service. Okay, so these are all of the components that we have in terms of the Governance.Business PSA. Okay, nevertheless, like I told you in the beginning, one thing is the platform itself. So we have a product called Governance.Business, and on top of that product we are offering several solutions, processes solutions, okay, such as PSA and others that I will show you a little bit in the next slides. Okay, so this product has the ability to do much more than just what we have done for the professional services part. So that's why we say that you can of course grab this professional services and also extend it and adapt it to your needs, okay, due to all of the functionalities and modules that we have on this product. Okay, so the product itself has essentially the portal part, which aggregates all the information from the different modules that we have in the solution, in the product, in the platform. Okay, so we have a reporting and dashboard component, which allows us to aggregate information from all sides, okay, into a meaningful and a very visible dashboards and reports that you can then share afterwards within persons inside the organization or externally, for example. Okay, you have a service catalog that you can expose all the services inside the organization and expose services for one part of the organization, for another part, and so on. So it's highly configurable in order to only give the right services to the right persons. Okay. Then the time management, financial management, and resource management, that are key pieces, okay, across the board for managing resources, time, and financials. Okay, then we have the customer relationship management to support everything related to sales. Okay, portfolio management to do everything related to portfolio management, project management, program management, and so on. And service management to everything related to the service management components that we've shown you before in the features. Okay. Aside from that, everything is set up on top of a business process management system, okay, where it will offer you several workflow capabilities and designing different processes and forms, and being able to adapt to the different needs of your organization. Okay. Also, we have a mobile client for iOS and for Android systems, okay, that you can then download from each of the Play stores, okay, and use it with your platform, with your solution, okay. So currently we have three types of deployments. Okay, so we have the cloud deployment, which is a shared instance. So essentially it's something that you will use as is. Okay, so you cannot, in this case, configure any processes or any interfaces. So you use it as best practices, but that's why also it will have a very low value. Okay, low value in terms of low entry fee in order to pay per user. Okay, so we will be launching that in the next couple of weeks. So we will then afterwards send that information towards the market, also for you to understand the different prices per user for each of the solutions. Okay, then we have the SaaS instance, which is basically your instance. It's just for you. You can do whatever you would like in there in terms of configuring new processes, configuring interfaces, and so on. The only thing is that you are paying it as a service, okay, and we are maintaining all of that solution for you, including the infrastructure. On the other side, if you want an on-premises solution, you will have the possibility to acquire the licenses for having the solution on premises, and it's on your data center, okay, and they'll have basically a number of licenses for your users and so on, so you can use the system, the solution inside your own organization. Okay, so then the last slide that I have, okay, before doing the live demonstration, is to show you a little bit all of the solutions that we have. Okay, so today we are covering the professional services automation solution, okay, where we are going to give you a live demo of it, okay. But we have also some others, okay, that you can also see in the website, in our website, Governance.Business. You can navigate there and see the different solutions and different information on each of them, okay. We have one for IT governance that covers everything from an end-to-end perspective for an organization more to provide services for themselves internally, okay, not really directed to providing services to the market, okay. Then a portfolio management solution, which essentially focuses on the service, product, and application portfolio, okay, and also on the project portfolio. So to have basically a solution to manage everything across to the portfolio perspective, okay. Then a solution for service management and a solution for CRM, so covering the processes in terms of sales and covering the processes in terms of service management, okay. So these are the current solutions that we have on top of the product. So the product itself, okay, we normally sell it with a flavor, okay, so with one of these solutions that you can pick up, so you can basically select any of them to deploy as the first instance inside your solution, okay, and start using it, okay. Aside from that, you can, of course, depending on the type of deployment that you have, okay, you can configure the solution to your needs, new processes, new interfaces, whatever you would like in there, okay. So then it's time to do the demonstration, the live demonstration of the solution. So in this live demonstration, so let me set a little bit the context and what I'm going to show you, what I can show you afterwards if you would like to, okay. So depending, of course, on you, and also during the Q&A, I can also show you some of the use cases that I'm not covering directly right now. And why? Because it's a question of time. Okay, so we don't have time to cover the whole spectrum of functionality. So I'm going to try and cover this use case of setting up a business plan, for example. Okay, from that business plan, setting up all the sales, all the opportunities, managing those opportunities, transforming them into projects, how that relates to the business plan, how can I monitor that information, okay, and then executing the project and collecting time, expenses on that project, and then doing all the invoicing on that project as well, recognizing then benefits and costs, and how that gets into the business plan again, and how can I go into the business plan and see all of that information and make sure that you have all the visibility, okay, in terms of that plan, okay. Independently if the project manager is putting some information in the project, okay, me as the business plan manager, I will be able to see all of that information and what that represents towards the business plan that we have set up, okay. So that is the use cases that we will do. So essentially creation of business plans and account plans, managing opportunities, transform them into delivery projects, execution of the project, then collect timesheets and expenses, invoice to customer, and then going back to monitor business plans and account plans and seeing all of that information in there. Okay. To do this demonstration, what I will use is just a browser. Okay, so I will use Google Chrome in this case. Okay, so you can access the application with just a browser, so you don't need any other type of software in order to use the application. So you just pick up a browser and log into an URL and you are there. So in this case, this page that you currently see is just a page to facilitate for us to enter with different profiles in order to fulfill those use cases. So we could, of course, log in with the admin profile and go back and forth with just the admin profile. That makes no sense, because in the end what we want to demonstrate is the different roles working together in order to collaborate inside the organization, and what kind of visibility one has and the other has, and so on and so forth. Okay, so in the end we are going to start from a very high level where we are designing, or where we are establishing a business plan, okay, and then going down and down and further down, okay, into doing sales, or basically managing a project, and so on and so forth. Like I said, there are several roles that I will not enter right now in the main use cases, okay, that I'm going to show you, but like I told you, during the Q&A or later down the road, so we can set up and I'll show you that. Aside from this is also available within the website. Okay, so if you go into the website and you go to the live demonstrations, you'll see there the PSA and the portfolio management live demonstrations, where you can log on with your roles and understand information and yeah, play by yourself. Okay, so in this case, to accomplish the use case of doing or establishing business plans and so on, okay, this is normally done by C-level managers. So I'm going to enter as Abraham Alvarez, and I'm going to establish that business plan. So once I enter with this profile, the first thing that he will see is basically the dashboards that represent valuable information to his role. Okay, so every time a person or a user enters in the system, the first thing that he will have is the concept of a dashboard, where that dashboard has aggregation of pages, has several pages, okay, that you can select which ones you would like to go and see information in. Okay, normally those pages represent or give you visibility on valuable information for your role. So in this case, for Abraham Alvarez, the visibility will be always towards business plans, how those business plans are being executed. So what kind of margins do I have in the plan right now? What is the execution? What kind of margin do I? What kind of margin is executed right now, is the actual margin right now, for example. Okay, also understanding this information per organization and so on. So let's take a look. So once I enter in the system, the first thing that I'm getting on the dashboard is the current margin, or the margin for the current year. So I'll see a distribution in terms of the planned cost that I have for my entire organization, the actual costs that I have, okay, the planned benefits, the actual benefits, and then what are the planned margins and actual margins to date. Okay, then we can see that representation in terms of percentages. So I see that I have a planned margin of 50% on my total organization. Okay, and then the current actual margin is really 12% at the moment, which means that we are not really doing so well, because we are more than half of the year, having passed more than half of the year. Okay, and essentially we are really low in terms of the expected margin, and we are really low in terms of the actual benefit towards the expected benefit. So we haven't even done 10% of it. Okay. So you can also see this in comparison with last year. So in this case, we see it a distribution per month, okay, where we can see all the, can play with the graphic, for example, seeing all the costs that we have planned for the entire organization across the different 2 years, okay. We also see then the actual costs, okay, and then we can get the distribution in terms of planned and total cost. Okay, planned and actual cost. So we see the planned cost line here, we see the actual cost line there, okay, and we can then see the benefits and then seeing the totals. So we see that we have a total planned benefit of 1.2 million, sorry, for the last 2 years, okay, a total planned cost of half of that, 660, okay, and then the rest of the figures in terms of actuals. So we can see this in this kind of graphics or in any other manner that we would like. So we can see this per quarters, per years, whatever we would like, just by clicking in the graphic and then just changing the filtering and saying instead of month, I would like to see per quarter or per year. And then I will see this information per quarter or per year. Okay, the same kind of information that we've shown. So 2006 quarters, 2017 quarters. Okay, the same thing in terms of the margin that you see here on top. Okay, it's something that you can see also here in terms of per organization. So instead of just seeing that information in the total, so the sum total, you can see then the distribution per organization where you can control margins for the organizations themselves. Okay, so what we will do is we will create then a business plan for manufacturing, okay, where we will then add up some figures to the manufacturing and see that these zeros will be suddenly being transformed into an actual benefit plan and also all the information that comes with it. Okay, and we can also, aside from seeing it or seeing the information per organization, we can also see per account. Okay, so understanding the top accounts that we have in terms of margins, what kind of benefits we are generating per account and so on. Okay. Aside from that, we have other dashboards, okay, where we are going to, or we will be able to see all the program executions that we are doing with all the nice KPIs and nice information, or also the projects that we are executing, okay, and how they are cost related, also in terms of indicators on cost, resources, issues, and risks. And if we would like to go and enter in any of them in order to see the information and see what is needed. Okay. Aside from that, we will then have also on the delivery part, okay, an information on terms of the resource capacity and allocation, so the resource capacity that we have on the organization and what kind of allocation do we have, okay, towards the different projects, internal or external, okay, in our organization. We can then drill down, okay, and from this access more detailed information on the resources. Okay. So this is just a basic explanation of what you can find in dashboards, okay, across the board. So like I said, I want to fulfill first the business plan part, okay. So what we will do is create a business plan for the organization manufacturing, okay. For that, we can go to our service catalog, and in our service catalog we have several categorizations that we can configure depending on your organization. Okay. In this case, for the strategic part, we will then be able to see here business plans. Okay. And then we can click in order to create a new business plan. So we are going to call it BP for manufacturing. The responsible unit, seeing all the business units that we have inside the solution, we will select then manufacturing that sits over here, okay? And then we will select a start date and end date. So let's put the start date being in January and end date of this business plan being in the end of okay, creating it. After creation of this business plan, okay, we have the information that we have created, that we have inserted, okay, from the first step. But then what we will have is the ability to define costs, benefits, and eventually team forecasts, so the current capacity that we have inside this business plan, or we pick up the capacity coming from the manufacturing responsible unit, okay, so coming from all the resources that are attached to this manufacturing. So if we pick up all of that, and if we go then to our analysis inside our business plan, okay, we will start by seeing that in terms of our business plan, in terms of financials, we have nothing, so there is no information whatsoever, okay, for this business plan, okay. Then if we go to the resource summary part, we will see already that we have some planned effort for our business plan, okay, and that we have some capacity. And why do we have planned effort? Because there are already some pipeline, okay, that is allocated to this business plan that is related to the manufacturing business unit, okay, that was already created beforehand in the tool, okay. So we can already understand for the manufacturing responsible unit what kind of pipeline we have, so opportunities that we have, okay, leads that we have, okay, the probability of our pipeline, what kind of business line the pipeline is more related to, okay, and also what kind of leads they are related to. We can drill down on this information and see the actual opportunities, okay. We can also see them all over here and also see all the customers that we have related to these opportunities, okay. Aside from that, we can also see if there are any projects or contracts, okay, related to this manufacturing business unit. So we see already, okay, that we have some active service contracts and active ongoing projects, okay, that are related to this manufacturing unit. So in the end, with just creating the business plan without even putting any value, okay, we can already see everything that we are doing just from this organization unit perspective, okay. So then it's all a matter of starting to detail some costs, some planned costs and planned benefits for my business plan, in order to afterwards, after the recognition of some of the values from my projects, for all of that information to roll up into that plan, okay. So then let's create this business plan cost perspective. So my internal resources, I'm going to say that I have internal resources that it will cost me per month 20,000. Save it. With this, I can also already see some information in the financial summary related to costs, just for you to understand. So right now we have an organization planned cost of 220,000 euros, okay, and we have a total planned cost of 240, okay, which has all the information on the different months, okay. Then if we go to our benefits, we can then create a benefit plan saying the services that we expect to deliver and the revenue coming from those services. Which in this case, we're going to say we expect to generate too much. We expect to generate 30K a month, okay, within this business plan. So again, going back and analyzing the information, we will then see that we are predicting an organization margin, okay, of 33%, okay. So with total costs of 220, with total organization plan benefits of 330. Okay, and we can see the actual figures here. Okay. So with this, having this information, then it's time, of course, to understand how the execution of the opportunities themselves that are related to this organization, and then the projects and the execution of those projects and the benefits that we will recognize on those projects, how they will affect this business plan and will be transformed into actual benefits that we can see here in order to understand the actual margin that we are generating inside this organization. If we go back to our business plan dashboard page, we will then see in this dashboard page already some information in terms of manufacturing, okay, where based on that business plan we have then 220 in terms of plan costs, 330 for plan benefit, 110 for margin plan, okay, with a total planning of 33%. Okay, so now it's time to link all of this together, okay, and see how sales is going to participate in the execution of this business plan, okay, by managing their opportunities and how they will affect it. Okay, so for that we will then start with another profile, with another role. So we'll log out from Abraham Alvarez, okay, and start going into the profile of Adrian Schutz. Okay, so once we log in with this profile, with this role, we will be able to see the different leads, the different opportunities that I have in my pipeline. So the pipeline that I'm managing currently, okay, in terms of leads and opportunities and what they represent in terms of value, okay, and that value in terms of which customer is it related to, okay, also the representation of the top 10 opportunities that we have, okay, in our hands, okay, and also the margin that each of them is generating, okay. So in this case, what I will do is I will focus on the customer Beta Saloon, okay. I will drill down into this graphic. I will see that 2 opportunities are linked to this customer, okay, that are being managed by Adrian Schutz. It doesn't mean that others aren't also attached to this customer, okay. So entering in the customer itself, I will have then all the information related to this account, okay. So in terms of the financial information, so if I have a financial plan associated with this account or not, okay, also in terms of margins and so on, okay, account financials for the last 2 years and so on. So if I had set up the costs and benefits for this customer, so to set up the plan that I have for this customer, I will have all of those figures, okay, and then I can also then see all the pipeline that is linked to this account. Okay, so leads and opportunities and the top 10 opportunities that I have, for example, okay, including margins and so on. And I can also see if there are any projects, okay, being generated. So there are no projects. So in this case, what we will do is we will pick up one of the opportunities that we have in this customer, okay, and we will manage that opportunity and transform it into a project. And we will see then from an account perspective, okay, projects being created and how we will see all of that information in the account itself, so in the context of the account. So if we navigate to the account pipeline, we will pick up one of these opportunities. Okay, I think I'll pick up this one. Let me see if that was the one that I wanted to pick up. Okay, let me see if it was this one or not. Yes, it was. Okay, so once I'm in this opportunity, okay, what I have is basically a form which basically collected information on the opportunity itself. So collected information on the responsible units, on the region, on the name, description, business lines, the amount of the opportunity, the probability, okay, and also the contacts in terms of customers or partners that are involved within this opportunity. To manage this opportunity, we have a process that is managing the life cycle of the opportunity. So a process from prospecting to value proposition, proposal and quote, up to the part of, if we win the opportunity, then creating a delivery unit, which means creating either a project, a program, a contract, okay, from this opportunity, and then getting all of the data that we have tracked in this opportunity, okay, getting all of that data into the project or so, okay. So in this case, we don't have much information here in the opportunity. We have the high-level information, such as the opportunity amount that we have estimated, but we are doing just the prospecting phase. So what we want to do is going with this opportunity throughout the life cycle. So with that, we are going to bring it to a next phase. So we are going to bring it to value, proposition, and then proposal and quote. So at this phase, imagine that we have to do a proposal to the customer, okay, and in that proposal we need to estimate a plan, estimate also resources, estimate costs, benefits, so we can present the benefit, of course, to the customer, the plan back to the customer, but also understand what kind of costs and margins are involved on this opportunity, okay. So for all of that, what we have is the possibility of developing a business case, okay, where we are tracking costs, benefits, and team, okay. So we have the ability to define which roles we need in order to develop this opportunity, to implement the project or service afterwards. Also what kind of costs we will have, and also what kind of benefits we will have, okay. So starting with the project team forecast, there are two ways of doing this forecast, okay. One is basically starting and defining role per role and dates and hours in terms of effort, okay. So this is the normal way that we have a resource plan that we are establishing, but there is also an automated way, which means that we start by doing a work plan, okay, with dates, with efforts, with roles that are involved in this work plan, okay, and based on that work plan, then we are going to aggregate all of that, okay, with the different roles that are involved in each of these tasks, okay, and the effort that is involved, and based on all of that information, okay, we will build up the project team forecast. So with that, we just import it from the work plan, and in this import, he will aggregate all the information that we had on the work plan. He will aggregate, the solution will aggregate everything in the roles that are mentioned in the work plan, okay, within the timelines, and then the estimated efforts, okay, for each of them, okay. With this, we can also use the same information in order to transform it into benefits and into costs, based on the cost rules that we have associated either with the accounts, either with a global organization, either with a certain role. So any cost rule that you might want to do. So you can even create cost rules that are within the context of the opportunity itself. So that cost rule will determine how much an hour costs, okay, or how much an hour generates in terms of benefit, okay, within the opportunity, project, and so on, okay. So I'm not going to cover that in particular, okay. So there are already certain cost rules, okay, inside the tool. So let me see if I can check those cost rules. So I have different cost rules here already, okay. So it's more a matter of he's going to pick at least the default ones, okay. And if I go inside one of them, I will be able to see that this is a cost rule for benefits, okay. I could have defined it per whole organization, region, resource, okay, or within a certain context, okay, and then I have the value per hour when it starts and so on. So essentially it's going to pick up one of those in order to calculate the benefits and costs, okay, based on those cost rules. So I'm going to then define the cost plan for the opportunity, okay. I'm going to call it resources. I'm going to need some software, or I'm going to need some travel expenses. Okay. So I have created a line, okay, for travel expenses. But like I told you, we can just import based on the roles that we have in there. We can import the costs, okay, and transform those costs that we see on the team forecast, okay, we can transform them into costs here. So automatically hold up based on the cost rules that are put in there. And then we have built up our plan based on those resources. Okay, so I'm going to 2000 just to complete the plan. Okay, so similar to that, I can do exactly the same for the benefits. Can then create a plan for the benefits. Okay, and say licenses, for example. And similar to that, I have then the import from the work plan, which is going to create me a line for the services related to the resources that I have established on the team forecast. Okay, which means this value over here, and then I can complete it with saying that I'm going to generate 15,000 in licenses. Okay, so in the end I have 27,296, okay, as the total, okay, for this project. Okay, so if I go back to my form, so I can then, based on all of this business case, I can then create a delivery unit saying I have won the project, I have been able to close the project with my customer. So right now I want to start the project, so create the project itself. So right now the current workflow of the opportunity is within the delivery unit creation. So this is a step that is not performed by the sales person. So in this case, okay, after the sales manager or sales or account manager will close the sale, okay, then everything is going to be picked up by the delivery manager or PMO, okay, that in this case will pick up this opportunity and decide what type of project will be created, who will be the project manager, to already plan the initial timelines and so on of the project and so on. So in this case, I'm going to have to enter with the PMO. So if I go here, I will be able to see that it's the PMO that needs to execute. So in this case, Paul Lynch, okay, and he will be the one that will be able to enter and execute this step in order to create the project itself. Okay, so I'm going to not enter right now with the PMO part, okay, or sorry, I'm going to enter with the PMO part. Once I enter with the PMO part, I will have a lot of information in terms of the execution of my delivery. Okay, I'm not gonna see all of that because in the end it's similar things that you've seen already on the C-level manager, okay, before. Okay, but essentially they have, based on the profile, they will have different or they will have the visibility that makes more sense, and in this case for the PMO is more on the execution itself. What I'm going to do is I'm going to enter and see the actions that I have to perform as PMO. Okay, so in this case I'm going to go to my workspace part on the menu. Okay, and in this place I'm able to see the items that I have created in the system, in the solution. I can see all the actions that I have to perform or any timesheets that I need to put in. Okay, so if I go into my actions, I will then be able to see all the things, all the processes that I can act on. I see that I have here an opportunity that I need to act on, okay? But I have also other processes that I can do something on them, okay? I can see all of that already here in the list, okay, which I can just filter easily, okay. I can also click on any of them, and then I will have the quick view, okay, and the ability to already do something, okay, within that opportunity. So I'm going to see this opportunity. I'm going to navigate and see that I have to enter a delivery type, okay. I'm going to enter a project delivery type. I'm going to select a project type of time and materials. The starting time will be 4th of September. The end time, we'll put it in 31st of January. With this, we will then say, I want to create the delivery unit. Okay. So with all of that, I have created and already taken out the opportunity. Okay, so I have closed the opportunity and created a project. Okay, so I can already go to my dashboard, and once I go to the delivery status, I will see that a new project was created. Okay, for Beta Saline, called Distributed Dealership Network Analyzer. It was just the project that we have created right now. So if I enter in that project, okay, I will see all the information that we have set up from the beginning in the opportunity. Okay, so project manager, responsible unit, the regions, okay, and also the customer that is involved and so on. Aside from that, I will see all the information in terms of the cost plan that we have set up on the opportunity, the benefit plan that we have set up on the opportunity, and also the project team that was set up in the opportunity. So everything that we had on the opportunity navigated to the project to make sure that we have exactly the same information and that we start with it. Okay. Aside from that, I can always go back and see that I have a reference towards an associated opportunity and go back to that opportunity and see all the information in it. Okay. So in this case, the only thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to change the project manager to Roger Manning. Okay, mainly because I want to enter as Roger Manning afterwards. Okay, and I want him to be the project manager involved in this. Okay. So in this case, my work as a PMO is completed. I don't want to do anything else. So I have already created the type of delivery unit. I have already assigned a project manager to it. Now it's time for the project manager to do whatever is needed to initiate the project, and then I can participate in all approvals and so on based on the PMO role. Okay. So going back, like I told you before, this is all about information in terms of visibility from business plan, from account plan, and so on. Okay. So we have closed an opportunity. We have then, based on that opportunity, we are initiating a project. So I want to know already from an account perspective the kind of visibility I have. Okay, so if I enter as an account manager going to that account, which is Beta Saline, for example, okay, going into that account context, I will then see that I have already some account financials planned that are being rolled up from the project. Okay, and I will be able to see that on the delivery status, I have a project that was currently created. Okay, plan start date on the 4th of September, the type of the project, the plan cost, plan benefit, plan return of investment, and plan margin. So I can already see and have full visibility on the project itself. And if I wanted to, I could go into the project. Similar to this, okay, from the business plan perspective, we also have exactly the same view. So if we enter in the business plan, we will see that we have then a new delivery project, okay, connected to that business plan. So like I told you, it's all about having all of this full visibility to the management level as well, okay, independently if we are working on information on the lower level or if we are delivering. Independently of that, we have to have that visibility into the other parts of the organization. Okay, so they can take some actions if needed on all of those. Okay, so the next step right now is to enter as a project manager and start planning that project, start executing that project. Okay, so in this case, I'm going to show you two things. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to show you a project that has already a lot of information, so you can see, let's say, the kind of things we have on the project itself, and then I will enter in this newly created project and start managing it. So assigning resources and starting the execution of the project itself. Okay, so the first part is mostly for you to understand that from a project management perspective, there is a lot of things that you can do, a lot of things that you can manage. Okay, you can optionally do a very light project management, or you can do a very complex project management. So it depends on you. Okay, so once I enter in with the project manager in the PM, okay, I can already see the split between projects that are for internal purposes and projects that are for customers. So things that are bringing me services, money, that are services oriented in terms of my customers, okay, and things that I'm doing for internal things, for, let's say, internal organization and so on, okay, and what kind of things I can see, I can control. So I already see that I have some red indicators here, and some others that are green. Okay, so ones that are for internal purposes, I'm only focusing on the indicators themselves and not really on the margins. Okay, and things that are for customers, okay, we will basically dedicate or see the margins so we can understand where we are. Okay, let me see if there is something here. No, it was just clicking for any case. Okay, so within this dashboard, I will be able to see that split. I'm also be able to see the priority issues that are impacting my my projects, okay, and also the impact risks, the risks that are impacting my project. So I can control the ones that have a higher impact. Okay, I can have those ones in the dashboard, so I can pay attention to them. Okay, like I told you, I'm going to enter first in a more complex project, in a more complex project, or a project with more information. Okay, let's put it like that. Okay, so the cloud optimization one. Okay, so once I enter in this project, I'm able already to control or to see and have information on the status information on the project. So in terms of scheduling, of costs, resources, issues, risks. Okay, see the milestones that I have set up, okay, that are coming from the work plan itself. So I see a lot of things that are really not going well. Okay, I'm also seeing then the status reports that have been created on this project throughout the time, okay, in order to get information on the status of the project itself, okay, to report that information. So if I go into this status report, I'm able to see the status of this project on the week of the 13th of November of last year, okay, where I'm collecting all of the information on the project, okay, all the actions and so on, okay, all the indicators, having a scorecard for the project, okay, so I can then report this to management and use this to understand the trends that I have on my project. So where did I start? Where did it start going wrong? If I have recovered or not, and so on and so forth. Okay. I can also then see information on the financials of the project. Okay. To understand all the financials of my project. So the plan, cost, actuals, and so on. That's why it has a red indicator, because we are not really performing well. Okay. In terms of costs and benefits, in terms of planned and actual costs. Okay, so to see all of that information in one place. Okay, also focusing on issues, risks, and scope changes. So we have processes to manage risks effectively, issues and scope changes, so we can manage them, okay, in an auditable way, so we can understand who has done what and when, and who has to do something in it, okay, and also to track further information on it. So if we enter in one of the risks, okay, we will be able to see all the information on that risk, okay, when it was identified, the impact, the probability, okay, but also information on the workflow itself, okay, so where it is, when it was created, who has acted, if somebody has acted, okay, so we see all of those details, okay, in the process that we use to manage the risk, the issue, or the scope change, okay. Aside from that, we can also then see in terms of resources how we are using our resources. So resources that are planned, that have a planned effort, the actuals of that resource. So we see that we have used mostly Tony Aho, okay, with 722 hours, where we had a plan of 400 hours. So yeah, we have some problems here because we are wasting resources, okay, inside this project because we aren't really using them, okay. And then we have the work plan with all the information that we have established and the completeness of that work plan and milestones and so on and so forth. Okay, so with all of that. So what we will do, like I told you, is we will start with this beta Soloin, okay, which is the project that we have created. Currently, we have also some of those views in the project because we already have costs and benefits. So if we go to financials, we will see the cost information on the project and so on, okay? But we haven't started its execution yet, so we need to do something, okay? So the first thing that we will do is we will focus on getting the right team, okay? So in this case, I've given privileges to the project manager to assign the resources to each of these roles. Nevertheless, okay, we can have the resource manager or some other role that owns the resource to be the one that is able to give this resource or to assign this resource into this project. Okay. In this case, like I told you, to facilitate all of this, I'm going to assign the resource as the project manager. So I'm going to assign myself, whoops, let's be after the start date. You see, because I already see something wrong here, that I have set up something wrong. So it gave me a warning that these dates weren't correct. Okay, so I have assigned then Roger Manning. Okay, and as a developer, I'm going to assign Tanya Ho. And save it. So currently I have 2 resources assigned, okay? And I have still one that needs to be assigned that we can assign afterwards. So if we go to our dashboards inside the project, we will be able to see already in terms of project resources. Not able because I need to assign this first. So going there. Strange. Everything happens when we start. We'll come later down to that dashboard because we should have then the planned values for it. Okay, we will come to that afterwards. Okay, so then let's focus on getting on showing you some of the other functionalities because I have missed that. Okay, so the other functionalities are essentially the possibilities for you to add any documents to this project or any other entity that we have manipulated so far in the system. Okay, I haven't explained that. So you can add easily documents here in this context. Okay, and in it you can, for example, add a certain let me select one that is okay. No, come on. Okay, let me see if I can do this. Okay, so to have a PDF here okay, and within this PDF we can always do a preview, okay, of the PDF without downloading it, okay, where we have all the information on the workflow, on the document itself. Okay. Aside from that, we can also create any discussions. So we can generate discussions inside our project and have different items and topics where we have some discussions in it. So for example, we can generate a technical discussion on the project and have the different participants of the project participate in that discussion. Okay. We can also have then other discussions that we would like, so functional. And then we have several topics, okay? So functional, technical, and any other topics that we might want to, in order to have the collaboration, okay, in terms of different discussions that we want to have inside the context of the project, okay? So based on the different collaboration inside that that part of the project, we will then have different messages that are being presented to us. If somebody else is going to collaborate, I'm going to receive some indications, some notifications that I have unread messages going and pointing directly to those discussions. Okay. So in this case, since I have assigned already a team, I can optionally have a work plan in my project or not, depending if I want to. Okay. So if I want to have a work plan, or if I just want to track the resources and to see the usage of the resources across the different parts of the project. So right now I'm going to do a couple of things. So the first thing is I'm going to create an expense towards this project, okay, and see how this expense is going to generate an actual value for the project, okay, so an actual cost. So essentially in terms of costs, I only have planned costs, okay. I have no actual costs at the moment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to generate, as the project manager, an expense for the kickoff, for example. So for that, I'm going to go to my service catalog, to the corporate part, and I'm going to create an expense. Okay. I'm going to select the entity. So in this case, this project, I already see who are the approvers of that expense. Okay. So once I start the creation, okay, I will have the possibility to define all the expense lines that I want to have on this expense. So then I'm going to put expenses against this project. So I'm going to have some travel expense, trips. I'm going to put here 500 euros. Okay, plane trip. Add another one. On the 5th, I'm going to have a business meal. Okay. It's not client. Oops. Sorry. Yes. It's not client reimbursable. Okay. And then I can submit it to be expensed. So right now I have started then the expense process for a project. If I go into my project, I can already see the expenses that are being created. So if I go here to the references, I see all the expenses or anything that is referencing this project. So I see here a new expense coming up. Okay. And then inside the expense itself, I have a workflow that is tracking the process to manage and to approve and eventually pay that expense back to the resource. Okay, so in this case we have a workflow in terms of approving of that expense based on the manager of the entity itself. Okay, then going to finance for review, paying to the person. Okay, and if it needs to be reimbursed by the customer, it's going to be in a waiting state in order to be invoiced back to the customer. Okay, so In this case, because Roger Manning is one of the approvers, okay, I will be able to approve. So I can approve the expense. And then if I go to my workflow, I see that the auditable path that I have here in my workflow, I see who has done the new state, who has taken the action and when, okay, who has approved the expense, and currently is on finance review. So I need to enter as finance in order to do the next step for this expense. So entering as finance, I'm just going to go to my workspace, my actions, and I'll see here the expense kickoff for the project that is waiting my action, and then I can complete it. So doing the finance review, okay, seeing everything is okay. I'm going to complete that action. Currently is being pending of payment to person. So it's on the next step, which finance will also do, because it's basically something that it will happen behind the scenes. Okay. And then finance can say, okay, I have paid this expense to the person. So right now it's completed. And because it doesn't need, or it's marked as client reimbursable, no, okay, then it goes to closure. So it closes the expense itself. Okay, so in terms of the workflow, it's currently closed. Okay, so then if we go as our project manager and go to our project, then after a little bit, we will be able to see that inside our project, so this is going to take at least 3 to 5 minutes, because it's a process that collects all the expenses in the system in order to roll it up to the project. Okay, we will then in a while we will see then the actual value of the expense coming up into the cost part. Okay, so then before or while this is happening, we will do also two other things. Okay, first of all is we will dedicate time to this project, okay, based on the resources that are assigned. And then we will create an invoice or 2 invoices for the project and see how we manage those invoices and how they will be rolled up, okay, to the different parts of our project, and afterwards the account and also the benefit plan. Okay, so let me see if this is already rolled up. Okay, it didn't, but it's not a problem. So we will basically enter as Tonya Ho, which is one of the persons involved in this project. We will create a timesheet with her. Okay, so we will create a timesheet for so timesheets. We will create a timesheet for this month. Okay, add items. We see that this item here is on the timesheet. Okay, I'm going a little bit too fast, but essentially if you enter it in the timesheet, you are able then to add items inside the timesheet. I'm selecting the items that I want to add. Okay, and then it's all about, for this project in particular, okay, how many hours I have dedicated throughout the month. Okay, so I'm going to put here, or better, this magic wand to complete everything in 8 hours. Okay, so upon submission, right now it's submitted and it's waiting to be approved. So the approver is Roger Manning, the owner of the project. So if I had other lines inside the timesheet, okay, the timesheet is approved per line. So the Roger Manning is going to approve this line. If there were any other lines, there were possibly a different approver depending on the owner of the item. Okay, so in this case, I'm going to enter again as Roger Manning. And going into my project, I will then be able to see, okay, in approvals, all the timesheets that are submitted. Whoops, this is something strange. It shouldn't appear like that. Okay, so if I go to the project itself, okay, or to the timesheet, I'm able to approve this time. Okay, and upon approval, this means that I have then recognized 184 hours for this resource working on that project. Okay, so if I go to the project team, I'll see that Tonya Ho currently has 184 actual hours for this project, which has an actual start date of the 21st towards the 20th of September. Okay, and after a while, I will also be able to see that cost rolled up into my cost plan. Okay, where I will see then the professional services here line, okay, with that cost roll up, okay, based on the hours that were dedicated. And after a while, we will see also the expenses, okay, in there. Let me see if somebody has. Okay, so with that, I'm going to create an invoice for this project as well. Okay, so to create an invoice for this project, I'm going to the, sorry, not going there. Okay, I'm going here into these links. Okay, and I can create or start the creation of the invoice from here, the context of the project. Okay, so creating the invoice, it means that I'm going to recognize a certain benefit, okay, that I have associated with this project. Okay, and I can select the types of benefits that I have. So I'm going to recognize the licenses. Okay. Okay, and with this, I'm able then to put in all the information that is needed, okay, in order to recognize the licenses that we have planned. Okay, so in this case, I'm going to insert here the several lines of the invoice. I'm going to select then here other, okay, because it's not related to expenses or resources. Okay, for the benefit line, licenses. Okay, the value to invoice is 15. Okay, licenses. So I have only one line, then I can just complete it. And in this case, the invoice is going to a status of invoicing, which means that finance will have to go in, generate invoice, put it on pending customer payment, and so on. Okay, so with that, I'm going to enter as finance, going to go to that invoice. And then I see all the information on the invoice request. Okay, going to put here then the invoice number to put in the actual invoice that I want to have. Okay, so let me just put here the ATP communication, for example. Okay, just save it first. Okay, and then I'm going to say it has completed. So I have completed the invoice. Okay, so this is the actual number of the invoice. This is the invoice, and it's currently pending customer. So once the customer pays the invoice and it's recognized by by finance, then I am able to go and close the invoice itself through finance. Okay, because they are the ones that access the accounts and so on, and that are able to see that really the invoice was paid. Okay, and then upon receiving that payment from the customer, we have closed the invoice, which means that for the project itself, we will have then the generation of actual figures, okay, for my project. So if I go into that project, I'm able to see already from the references the invoice that was generated. So see it here. Okay, I can always go to references and see everything that is associated with this project. Okay, and if I go to the benefit plan, I will after a while again see the rolled up line for the invoice. Okay, so because this is taking a while, I'm going to enter in another project in order to give you that visibility. Okay, to show you all of that. So I'm going to enter here in this XX holding. Okay, and the lines that I'm talking about around costs is once it rolls up from the expense costs, it gives you these actual costs for the expenses, okay, actual costs for the professional services, depending on the rates that are applied, and also in terms of the benefits, the actual hold up invoices, okay, of invoices that were recognized. Okay, so essentially everything is rolled up to the project, and then once it's in the project, it will also be afterwards into the business plan. Okay, so from a business plan perspective, so if we take into account this one that was rolled up, okay, for the business plan, for the responsible unit sales and marketing, okay, we will then go into that business plan and we will be able to see for it, okay, everything that is related to it. Okay, so if we go to open business plans and focus on the one for sales and marketing, we will be able to see that we have then an actual benefit of 20,000 euros, okay, based on the information that we got from the project, okay. And if we want to go and see the delivery status of the projects, we will see then the project Access Holding Mobile Quiz through Wi-Fi, which has a benefit, an actual benefit of 20K, okay, but then it has already these actual costs, okay, which are more than we were expecting, okay, but still we are, okay, we have a certain margin, okay, inside that project. Not the margin that we have planned of 75%, but we are currently at 42%, okay. So it means that from the business plan, I can always see everything that is going on and aggregate everything at this level, okay, for my project. So on the financial summary perspective, okay, for my business plan, I will be able to see the total costs and planned and actual costs and benefits and so on for my business plan, and I'm also being able to see the split and per month, okay, of those costs in order to understand cash flow issues and so on that I might have, okay. And with this, basically we complete a little bit what we have tried to demonstrate in this 1 hour and something, okay, for Governance.Business PSA. So creating work plans, or creating business plans and account plans, going through sales, doing project management perspective, collecting timesheets, expenses, invoicing, and how that gets back into the business plan, and we have full visibility at these levels every time that we want to, from a business plan, from an account, and so on. So for today, this is what I wanted to show you, okay? And thank you all for attending, and hopefully this was useful for you to understand what we can do with the Governance.Business, the professional services automation part. So thank you very much.